Hello, everyone, and welcome to a much overdue video. The last time you saw the both of us together, I believe we were doing our extremely early preview of the next year's Oscar season. And it's been a little bit. The Cannes Film Festival, which is a major thing in regards to the award season, has occurred since then. Odyssey is coming out, which is a big contender in about a little less than a month. To date this video, on the day of recording, the trailer for Jesse Eisenberg's next film comes out tomorrow. So we'll have to see how our rankings might already be out of date if that trailer gives any sort of vibe out. But yeah, we're going to be giving just Best Picture rankings here in this video, and we're going to do a little bit of a different format. If you saw our ranking of our personal ranking of the Best Picture candidates last year, it's going to be similar, where I'll give my number one in Best Picture. Anthony will say where it is on his list, and he'll give his number one, and I'll say where it is on my list, then my two, his two, and back and forth. You'll see it on the graphics video in a little bit of a second. So yeah, we thought that may be a little more suspenseful rather than just throwing the graphic up there and you see our rankings immediately. So yeah, any thoughts, Anthony, before we get into it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a really interesting year because I've always believed that one Best Picture nominee winner is not like the previous year. They tend to go, they ebb and flow. You have like a small movie like Anora, and then that which followed Oppenheimer. And then what followed Anora was a big movie like One Battle After Another. And so all eyes would look to maybe one of these smaller contenders, maybe rising. And I just think it's tricky right now to see what of the small films will have that momentum. That's why for now, like, it's easy to bet on the big hits because we kind of can lean on the more dependable filmmakers that we know are going to have the big push. But I don't think necessarily like my 1 and 2 are necessarily going to be the 1 and 2 when it comes to voting, however many months away that actually is.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this year, more so than previous years, there's not as easy of like a safe pick to put at number one. Like, I feel like last year, One Battle After Another was a little, there is maybe one, but I'm a little skeptical of it. Last year, One Battle was kind of an easy, like, safe pick far out. Same with Oppenheimer. The previous year, there wasn't a clear one, but there's nothing that is like, usually even in a year where it's not completely clear what might win, there are some films that I'm like, oh, I can see a path for this to win Best Picture. I can see that happening. I honestly don't see it for most of the films we're talking about here. I'm like,
they're small. They're small movies.
I can, even some of the bigger ones, like, I definitely see a path to getting nominated. To win, I don't know. So I'm not getting any major win vibes from any of these, but let's get into our list. I'll let you begin. What is your number one in Best Picture at the current moment, Anthony?
I mean, listen, I think that it's the safe number one for now. I don't see any world where this movie misses, and it's probably the only one that, it's one of a few where I can definitely tell you today on June 22nd, when we're recording this, that it will most definitely be nominated for Best Picture, and that's The Odyssey. I mean, it's one of the most epic stories, one of the oldest stories from one of our great filmmakers, probably the great filmmaker working today. And this has all the signs of going to be a big box office behemoth. And for this sort of movie to do that, I think is really impressive and remarkable. And it's the type of movie like Oppenheimer that I think people really want to lean into. This is going to have a big cast. Expect this to do well at SAG. Expect this to do well at the crafts. And I do think there's a lot of, chutzpah with this movie coming out after Oppenheimer. What is Nolan going to do next? And he does something that's maybe even bigger than Oppenheimer. And I don't see a world where just because Oppenheimer was his previous movie, that this gets, oh, well, we just awarded him. Because Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan, I believe, are 5 years apart? Yes, this is 3. But I think it's clear that if the movie's great, then the movie's great, and people will want to reward it. And it's such a different type of movie. I also think because it's an adventure film, it could also lean into the lane of like the Ford v Ferraris or the 1917s, where the action of the film, even something like Lord of the Rings, where the action make it more palatable and make it more rewatchable. I've always said that I don't think very rarely do Best Picture winners win when they're not rewatchable. 12 Years a Slave maybe being one of the few in the last 15 years that's like one and done, but I'll vote for it.
Yeah, I really wanted to put another film at number one because I like predicting like what I think is actually going to win. And at this point, I don't think The Odyssey is going to win. But like you said, it's just the easiest film, like the safest film at this point to put in. there's rumblings it's already screened to like the press junket kind of people. I spoke to someone I spoke to someone who spoke to someone who saw it at a at a press junket screening, but it was also like a Nolan kind of like fanboy kind of person, so it you can't like read it with a grain of salt, but they had very glowing things to say about it. The trailers haven't blown me away for this one, honestly. We'll get to another big epic from a big director in a second. But of those two, I think that other one looks a little better. This one, I don't know. It just looks fine to me. It doesn't scream when you say Christopher Nolan doing the Odyssey, I kind of expect, at least based off the trailer, something a little more. He's keeping it pretty grounded, I think. But I mean, it's just a pretty easy number one. I mean, the past few years though, including his year when he won for Oppenheimer, like Oppenheimer, Sean Baker for Anora, PTA for One Battle After Another. We've really had directors who haven't won Oscars before kind of having their big Oscar moment is kind of the trend lately. So that I mean, there are some films that could fall into that that we'll get into in a second, but I think as a safe number one at this point, this just makes the most sense to me, especially in like it can be an easy best director win. He didn't win best screenplay last time. Who knows? Maybe he'll win it this time. Apparently he's making some changes to the story, which is always helpful for best screenplay. And to people thinking like, oh, he won for his last film, he can't win for this one. I think people sometimes forget like Iñárritu, which we'll talk about in a second, won Best Director 2 years in a row, and that's I think for Best Picture you're voting for everyone who worked on a film. It's like you're not just voting for Christopher Nolan. To win Best Director, where you're voting for just one specific person who just won last year, I don't think having previously won 3 years ago is going to majorly hurt him. It totally depends on the film's quality. Yeah. Like if it is a huge, big blockbuster hit. And often the films that are winning lately are releasing before the Fall Film Festival season. What was the last film that premiered at a film festival in the fall that won Best Picture? Was it Nomadland? And that was the COVID year.
Yeah, I'm trying to think beyond the COVID year. I mean, Parasite was early. Yeah, Parasite was early.
Green Book was 10th. Yeah, Green Book. Yeah. So it's been a while.
A decade. I feel like I understand if once the season starts, maybe we see some other movies jockey for the number one position. I think right now, if you don't have The Odyssey at number one, it's foolish. It's by far the most sure nomination out of any movie that you can put on this list.
Yeah. Well, if you're putting like one of the if you saw one of the Cannes films and you truly think it can win Best Picture, I think that's fair to me. But putting like a wild card, I mean, it's June. You can really do whatever you want. But there's a lot of these movies that we don't know a lot about. Like I wanted to put, I guess we can transition this into my number two. I wanted to choose something else as a winner besides The Odyssey. And the one that I was considering doing that also has test screen and I've heard incredible things about, but I think I'm going to love it. I just don't think, and that's why I was tempted to make it my winner, but I just don't think it's the kind of film that wins, is Behemoth, Tony Gilroy's upcoming film, hopefully releasing this year. I mean, it's been done for a while. It's test screening. I feel like it's coming out this year from Searchlight. It's his first film in, I believe, like 14 years. His big follow-up after Andor, which was a big success in terms of awards and all that. And it just sounds so good to me. Chronicle of this musician's life that is told through the music that he performs, and it's centered, like the big centering narrative is him as he returns to Los Angeles to compose music for films. But I've heard it's a non-linear structure, jumping to different time periods. The editing is supposedly great, as well as like the score and the cinematography. The score has like 8 people working on it, which is crazy. I've heard Pascal is quite good in it. The hesitation I have with making it win Best Picture, because I think Tony Gilroy could kind of fit that kind of thing we're talking about, like overdue director kind of having their Oscar moment, especially coming off of something like Andor. I do think he's very respected, maybe more so as a writer than a director. This is only going to be his fourth film that he's directed.
You're rising his stock in the industry a little bit high. I mean, I would not put him on a Paul Thomas Anderson, Christopher Nolan tier. As much as I think he's a wonderful filmmaker, and what he's done with Rogue One and Andor was remarkable. But I'm just saying, like, his stature, I don't think is as high.
My love in Andor is probably influencing. But even then, I think the hesitation I have with it winning picture is because it's a slower, more dialogue-driven kind of film. It's a character study kind of film. Those kind of movies usually don't win Best Picture. I feel like it's like something like Tar, maybe like this character study on like a musician that's slow and dialogue focused and non-linear structure. So I think it's going to be like one of the best reviewed films of the year. I believe in Tony Gilroy. I'm a bit of a big fan after Andor. And I think this honestly might be Searchlight's. I think Searchlight is this type of studio that can get multiple films into Best Picture. And I think this could be their number one dog. The only thing I'm concerned about is it wasn't Venice or Variety did like a big preview of all the films that might debut at the Venice Film Festival, and they didn't include this film. And I feel like that's a prime place for it to premiere. So we'll have to see if it ends up going there. We don't know a ton of that, but yeah, that's one film that I'm putting a lot of stock in that I feel like some people are kind of like it's a little under the radar at this point.
Yeah. Well,
do you have it on your list?
Without a release date, I was toying with it. I think I probably will. It's the no release date that was making me hedge my bet. And I'll say what my number 11 was, just to in case we find out tomorrow that this isn't released this year. Was the Tom Ford film, because of course he has some.
Oh, that's not releasing this year.
Nocturnal Animals. I know you have these two movies that are toying with. But the reason why I leaned out of those two towards Behemoth is I do think Searchlight, after a rocky year, in 2025, I think they're going to come back strong. And I do think Tony Gilroy is probably in a really great place creatively. Like, I think he's probably in maybe the strongest point of his career. And I think like the fact that this is a written, directed effort from him, it's giving me Michael Clayton vibes, which he also did, as far as like what like he could be prepared to give us. And the cast is very, very strong, and also the variety of the cast. Something about, like, even though we don't know a lot about it, like any movie that has room for Pedro Pascal, Ava Victor, and Olivia Wilde, and Matthew Lillard,
and Will Arnett,
that to me alone, and the characters that could come out of them, just makes me think that this is going to be a very special movie. So again, between the two movies where we don't know if their release date is coming, I'll lean this one.
What's your number 2 then?
Okay, so we've done my 1, now we've done my 10. So my number 2 is Fjord. I think coming after Khan, I think it makes sense. This would, I think, be that smaller movie that could rise, especially because it's been getting great reception so far. And Khan has really been killing it as far as like kind of anointing Oscar frontrunners since since the pandemic. I think people, and maybe we can also attribute this to Parasite. I think there is leaning into the European festivals. I also think that comes from a lot of, we're part of that ecosystem, but a lot of like online pundits looking and elevating those festivals more so than before, now that there are award season, viewers year round who will be interested in that. So because of that, I think Fjord is very well placed. I think that it will have the international cred, but I also think it has, a lot of it is in English, correct? So
yeah, that's a big debate surrounding the film of whether or not it's, because you have to be 50% or more in a foreign language to qualify for international feature, and they haven't done the numbers yet. But there were a lot of people who saw it at Cannes who were like, I don't know, this might not qualify. I have a feeling maybe through some editing that they're going to want it to qualify. If it's that close, they'll make it work.
They'll just make the credits really long. Great studio behind it with Neon. I mean, they've been killing it. I think this is a very strong number 2 for me.
Yeah, I have this at number 7, so I have it a little lower.
Wow.
A little lower. I think the problem is what really helped this, solely based off of the reviews. When it was like just the reviews that had released during Cannes, I was honestly ready to remove it from Best Picture because it did seem pretty divisive in terms of like the subject matter. It doesn't work for everyone. But I think the fact that it won the Palm made me pretty confident that this will be Neon's like award season priority. And I feel like it being Neon's award season priority and winning the Palm is enough to get into Best Picture. But I do think it's going to be divisive. I think it will bring about a lot of debate. I don't think it's going to be as strong as something like A Cinema Value, which wasn't really divisive, was pretty widely liked. I don't think it'll be top 5. I feel like also when I read about both Sebastian Stan and Renata Reinsve's performances in this film, they're very subtle. There's not like a ton of like big baby acting sort of thing. They're also a lot of it in a foreign language, and that hurts with some awards bodies in particular. So I think I'm a little, we aren't doing acting predictions yet. Keep an eye out for that, I guess. But I'm questioning like just how many nominations it can get, because we don't know if it's eligible completely for international feature. When I'm hearing about the 2 lead performances, especially if those categories start getting competitive, there doesn't seem like they're super baity or strong enough to maybe make it in. So I think it definitely screenplay. I have it in for picture. It could probably get director.
But maybe the actors can play. But I also think even if it doesn't get into international, the international voting bloc will respond to the movie. So, it could be one of those situations like Anatomy of a Fall, where just because it was ineligible in that category doesn't mean that that voting bloc was present when voting for it in other categories and getting it the nomination of Best Picture.
This has had
and so-
comparisons to Anatomy of a Fall too, because the entire third act, I think, is courtroom custody kind of battle. So interesting
Love it.
enough. Yes, I doubt it can reach those heights. I love Anatomy of a Fall, but
Okay, we're filling up our list. So far, we agree.
we agree so far. We'll have to see
Yes.
how much that continues.
I think we're going to agree on this next one, I think.
Okay, what's your number 3?
Dune Part 3. It's fitting.
Okay, yeah, that is fitting.
Okay.
That's my number 3 as well.
So I do not think this is the third most likely winner of the category. This is why I gave that preface at the beginning.
Okay.
But I think it is the third most likely movie to get a nomination for Best Picture out of what we have so far.
I think it can win. I don't know. I think it can win.
I really listen. Lord of the Rings was this is going to what we're going to hear the whole season. It's what we hear every time one of these movies is in contention.
That was a once in a lifetime kind of thing.
Once in a lifetime thing, changed the industry. I don't think because of the era we live in now, people realize how much of a gamble that trilogy was to shoot all those movies. The reason why we have any franchise after 2003 is because of Lord of the Rings. But I also think the reason why Lord of the Rings 3 stuck the landing, won the most Academy Awards of any movie in history, tied with Titanic and Ben-Hur, is because emotionally it is this grand crescendo. I mean, every single thing in that movie, whether it's You Bow to No One, the send-off at, Into the West, that whole song, but the send-off at...
It was a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
This will not be. This is dark.
And that's why I think it probably won't win, is because I think it's going to be a little bit... I don't think Denis Villeneuve's movies are cold. I think Arrival is one of the most emotionally impactful films I've seen in my lifetime. But I struggle to think that Dune Part 3 will be as emotionally impactful as it will need be in order to get there. That's one thing Nolan has, whether people like to acknowledge it or not. He knows how to sneak in that Spielberg sentimentality into his movies.
Sometimes.
I think more often than he's not. I mean, Interstellar is, I think,
that's his best film because of that. Yes,
exactly. A lot of people think it's his best movie. I think because of that reason. But even like the Dark Knight Rises ending, like he sneaks it in there, whether you're aware of it or not. And I think that's something that I'm not convinced Dune Part 3 will have, but I think it will be respected for its craft. Of course, it has that cast that will be so enthralling. People will want to give it flowers for being this very serious trilogy.
The release date does also help this film in terms of award season. I mean, the previous two films were October and March, respectively. So I think being a December release, being in that primetime award season kind of release.
Lord of the Rings release date.
Exactly. But yeah, I agree. It is a high hurdle for this film to end up being a winner. And I think it will, kind of like Lord of the Rings nomination wise, the second film did the weakest. I think this will do better nomination-wise than the second film, especially because you have some new people attached with people like Linus Sandgren. You're not nominating some of the same people, but I don't think it will be even as successful as the first film in terms of that. Got 10 nominations, got like 5 wins, 6 wins. Yeah.
Well, the other thing to remember is that this is not Dune Part 3. This is Dune Messiah, and the way that.
But it's titled Dune Part 3, though.
I understand, but people expecting this to play like Lord of the Rings. Like Lord of the Rings was the third chapter of that one story. This is going to be a very different movie. And depending on how consistent it is for the first two, or if he does go in a different direction with these new people, with these new characters.
He said he has. I think he's going to switch up the book.
Yeah. I mean, there is a chance that people who love the first two maybe don't jive with this one as much, or it gets, I'm very curious to see how he does this. Because again, you also have Timothée Chalamet back. I mean, that unfortunately could be a hindrance. We saw with Marty Supreme what I think benefits him is it's interesting. He's playing a character who's unlikable, which you could say maybe helps him. But at the same way, it didn't help him with Marty Supreme. It's just now. Granted, I don't think he'll be.
Well, this isn't an acting vehicle.
He will not be front and center as a Best Actor contender, which also does hurt it. You know, if you don't have acting, it does limit you,
To
even with
win,
movies like this.
yeah,
Yeah.
you need that's the biggest branch. I forget that I think Parasite was what the last Best Picture winner to not win an acting prize. So
Last Best Picture to not have any acting nominations, period.
nominations in
Which
general, yeah.
I mean, I'm not expecting Dune Part 3 to get any nominations. Are you in the acting field?
No, I think Robert Pattinson will be nominated and supporting for a different villainous role in a different film. So I think that was the only.
I mean, that's
possible.
what's interesting is that you have all these actors who, again, are going to be buoyed by these other movies.
Okay, so number 4. Should I go or do you want to go?
Floor is yours, Mr. Murphy.
La Bola Negra, The Black Ball, is my number 4. I think out of the films that debuted at Cannes, in my opinion, rather than Fjord, this was the biggest contender to debut out of there. There are obviously already Emilia Perez comparisons because it is an international film, a Spanish international film that was picked up by Netflix. I think that's where the comparisons kind of end. But I do think that this, it's also like queer based, like Emilia Perez, but I think much better representation in that way. This seems like a big crowd pleaser at the Cannes Film Festival. This seemed like something like that people left, like, especially at that festival where like a lot of films are like, you know, they're international, they're European, they're slower, maybe sadder. This kind of, I feel like towards the end of the festival gave like a lot of like life and excitement to people. So I think being a crowd pleaser also helps in a way that I would consider it to maybe win Best Picture, especially because also like Emilia Perez, this is a film that this is Netflix's main push, undoubtedly. And when your Netflix's main push, they pretty much max you out in terms of what nominations you can get. They're really good at getting nominations. They're incredible at getting wins. They're much more iffy at. But I think this kind of film, taking place in multiple different time periods, the editing interweaving between all of them, it being a bit of a crowd pleaser, also being representation. I think all of this makes me think this is a double-digit nomination kind of contender that could win Best Picture. The only thing I'm like is the Netflix factor. Is that actually a thing in terms of winning Best Picture? I never quite know.
Yes, I do think there is a considerable number of voters, not, you know, ridiculously large, but there are some who will not. Nominations are different. When it comes to the win for Best Picture, yes, some people will not vote and they will continue not to vote. It doesn't matter how much streaming is a part of our world. They don't view it as cinema. They just don't view it as this is the cinematic experiment that we are wanting to honor. And that could hurt it, as it's hurt all the other Netflix movies. I mean, if Netflix couldn't win in the pandemic, Netflix is not this sort of thing that the industry accepts. Penelope Cruz, Glenn Close, we have some big names attached.
Yes, that always helps.
And I think that will help as well. So yeah, we're in lockstep again. I do think coming out of the festivals. I also have this at 4.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because I agree with you that it probably is higher as far as like it's obviously has a better chance to win than Dune Part 3, but Dune Part 3 is a more reliable pick right now. So yeah, I agree with your assessment.
Let's see if we share the same number 5. Is your number 5 Digger?
Oh my God, yes, it is.
It is? Okay.
I thought that would have been one you have off the list.
Wow.
Well, I mean, it's Alejandro Inarritu.
It's Tom Cruise in an actual legit serious role. When was the last time he did that? I mean, I've talked about what I've heard about this film. I think this is strong enough from what I've heard that it will get into Best Picture, but this will be divisive. There will be a lot of people.
Which is fine.
I mean, most Inarritu films, in my opinion, are divisive. I don't think he's made a film that a lot of, like, Birdman's the closest. I think he's come to universal praise. It won Best Picture.
He won Best Picture.
But even then, there's a lot of Birdman haters out there. I think he's just a style of director where he's just like black licorice to some people. But this is going to get a big Warner Brothers push. I mean, obviously, Tom Cruise, we'll have to see how much campaigning he does, how many couches he will jump on. But I think he's going to campaign hard for this one. I think, in my opinion, he's kind of unstoppable for Best Actor. I mean, there are other contenders, but like Tom Cruise in this kind of performance where he's like playing a 70-year Matt Damon. No, as the competition for Tom Cruise.
Just saying. I mean, if the Odyssey
an option, but I would throw like John Malkovich or someone first.
Him as well. I'm just saying, if the Odyssey is right now, we both have as a number 1 for Best Picture. Cillian Murphy won for Oppenheimer, and Matt Damon is, I think, long overdue to win an acting award. I just would say he's probably right now. Right now, I have him as number 2. I think it's a stronger film than John Malkovich's film, which is, But I agree with you. Tom Cruise is number 1. I think there's a lot of desire to give him an actual Oscar after giving him the honorary award. And I think because of that, and because there is a world where it does win a top tier award, it's one of the movies we can actually point to. Probably out of all these movies we mentioned, it probably is the clearest high, like top 8 award winner. So like at that point, with the Inarritu track record, which yes, I know Barda didn't perform, but again, Netflix.
That's different.
When you're in theaters, Inarritu has proven very well.
It also didn't have Tom Cruise.
Yeah, and it was an international film. I would not, if people are saying Digger will not perform because of Bardo, I think that just has a lot of inconsistencies with that argument. He does very well, especially, I mean, Michael Keaton, Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Cruise. I think that is a fluid line between them. I think it makes sense. And if this is even a moderate hit at the box office, I think it'll be received like one battle after another. As far as like
that's my concern.
It made enough in order to not embarrass itself.
It's not. It's gonna flop. One battle after another with the trailer. Also weird. No trailers yet for this one. Is interesting. I feel like they would have released it.
I've seen a trailer.
They did like a 30-second snippet before the re-release of Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
They haven't done like a full-on trailer that's been released publicly yet. But I'm sure they will, probably before the Odyssey. But I do think this is gonna. One Battle was the trailer and marketed like an action kind of like adventure thriller kind of film. This is not that. This is a political satire that general audience members will not like. I just know for sure this will not appeal to the general audience. I know it has Tom Cruise in it, but he's not infallible. I mean, he did that helicopter money movie that didn't do amazing.
American Made.
American Made. Mummy the same year.
That would be the answer to your last time he made a more serious movie.
Yes, didn't work out. I think this will work out. But I do think this will lose money, which will hurt it a lot. I mean, this has like $150+ million budget. There's no world where this will undoubtedly for sure lose money.
If it does enough that like it doesn't even have to hit One Battle, but if it does enough where it's received in the same way as the One Battle box office performance was, where it's like we applaud, because I do think right now
it's not going to do that.
We'll see what happens with this Warner Brothers, merger. But like I do think there is so much respect for Donna Langley at Universal and Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi at Warner Brothers, and I think the industry likes to see them succeed. The one thing that I worry about this movie is that the pitch to me is so narcissistic as far as the one man who can save the world. And if I tend to continue to worry that if there's any Scientology, things, especially in relation to the subject of the movie, and if this is viewed as, the one person who can save us, and he uses this as a backdoor way to promote Scientology, that's the one worry I have with this movie.
I got a whole debrief about this film. I think people have teased. There are the logline for this film is not what the movie is. Right, there are aspects to the film, and especially Tom Cruise's character, that are dimensional and not like, I don't think even the marketing will hint towards what's actually going on in this film. And I do think what is actually going on in this film is an aspect that, if it will appeal to anyone, it will appeal to Hollywood artists. I think this will be received better by Hollywood artists within the industry, better than it will be by critics or general audience members. So I think that is helpful as well. And also, it's also a big tech kind of player. It'll get, I think, cinematography, production design. I think it'll win makeup, obviously, with the connection there. He's doing an accent. Like I said, there's layers to his character that I think is surprising and interesting, and will appeal to an acting branch as well. So yeah, I think Cruise winning, a bunch of techs, probably director, screenplay. I feel pretty good about this getting a lot of nominations. I don't think there's a world where this even comes close to winning Best Picture.
Do you have, because maybe we should mention what I don't think we have on either of our lists, which is Project Hail Mary.
I have it on my list.
Oh, you do?
You can have it. I've hesitantly put it in, I guess we can talk about it now. It's my number 9.
Well, so, because I was wondering, is this where you see Sandra Hüller popping up? Because I sense a nomination for her somewhere.
I don't think she's going to get one.
Really?
I think the big bummer is she's going to be in like 4 big films, but I don't think, from what she has like a few scenes in this movie, and there's just no dimension to her character. It's just, I would say of the two, she's got a better shot for Project Hail Mary.
Oh wow, because that would help Digger if it is not seen as a vanity project for Tom Cruise and it gets like a more well-rounded reception.
I think it's supporting actor-wise.
you know,
You could
or
see
supporting
John
actor.
Goodman or Riz
That's
Ahmed,
true.
I think, are your two contenders in that category. But I think this is the kind of film that, which helps when with an acting win. When you leave this film, the only performance you will actually be talking about is Tom Cruise. There are no other
That's
performances.
different.
Yeah,
It's different when you are the performance everybody's talking about, you know, versus like, you know, like Power of the Dog. Like everybody was talking about Benedict Cumberbatch, but Jesse
yes,
Plemons, there was still room for Jesse Plemons to surprise us
exactly.
on nomination morning,
Mhm.
setting aside the fact Cody Smith McPhee and Kirsten Dunst. Like, you know, Heath Ledger can get nominated for, you know, Brokeback Mountain, but Jake Gyllenhaal also comes along for the ride. Like
Yes,
that's what I'm talking about. Like again, because it's Tom Cruise, just the image of him. Like it's like I worry we're as much as I love like what his movies and his filmography, I there is called a 1% chance this is the Marty Supreme of this season.
but even then, that gets into Best Picture and nearly double-digit
Yeah,
nominations. I feel
yeah.
I feel fine about at least Best Picture wise. Some people don't have it in there. I don't get that, honestly.
Yeah.
But we'll
It would
see.
have to flop. It would have to flop really bad.
I think it will, but I still think it'll get it, honestly.
Yeah.
I just think it's a big swing that will be divisive, but I think it will be respected by enough people to get in still.
Yeah. All right. So Project Hail Mary. Yeah.
Oh, wait, yeah, we can talk about that.
I just feel like by the time it comes out, it like
I was on the same page as you a few months ago. I don't Narnia being pushed, all this stuff. I'm like, I thought there were going to be too many like big, epic blockbuster kind of things, and Project Hail Mary would be forgotten by the end of the year. Then Narnia got pushed, and I just we're having like halfway through the year lists, and Project Hail Mary is getting the most mentions. It's a big crowd pleaser. Obviously, Amazon is going to put the money behind this. I don't think this will be as big of a player. I know some people think it's like going to be top 5. I don't think it will get any above the line nominations. I don't think it will get Gosling. I don't think it will get screenplay. But I think it can be kind of like F1 last year, where it's a like crowd pleaser, makes a lot of money, gets in just off of like text. It gets like picture, visual effects, sound, what else? Like maybe score, maybe cinematography, something like that. So I have it as that kind of contender, which is why I have it at number 9. And also because we've seen it. We know most people who have seen it liked it.
True.
So
I might have swapped a type of movie, but we have like a similar reasoning and like
place. Oh God, I hope it's not what I think it is, but we'll see.
It might be. Yeah, I don't, because I also think like what helped F1 was the craft, and I don't like it. I feel like people
craft in Hail Mary.
It's not whether it's good craft. It's not the thing. Like people came out of, from what I saw, people came out of the movie feeling like it was a heartwarming. They don't make them like this anymore. You know, rollicking good adventure story.
I think that's better than craft, honestly.
Yeah,
I think that will stick with people more than craft. Maybe. And I think you need to stick with people if you're releasing in March. And so far it has. That was my main worry. But so far it's been sticking with people. So I'm like, okay, it'll probably just remain to stick with people. But we will see.
It's on the bubble for me. Again, let's see what happens after the fall festivals and if people still choose to remember it. Because again, it's not going to be the only big movie. We definitely have 2 that are going, maybe, I mean, Digger is a big movie, even if it doesn't perform
in its budget. Yes, and it's not.
Like we're not lacking scale. The way that what happened with F1 is we were lacking big movies. You know, we had the Hamnets.
Avatar flopped. Wicked flopped.
Yeah, like that's why it's like, all right, well, F1. You know, we have to give the craft people something, and that's not going to be a problem this year. And so, Project Hail Mary could be like Wakanda Forever and Glass Onion missing the year the Top Gun Maverick and Avatar: The Way of Water got in. It's like we already have those sort of movies, and that voter is already satiated with those pictures, so it just misses.
Because I think definitely wait and see.
Wakanda Forever was definitely on the bubble after the PGA nom. Glass Onion was probably a little further down. But should I get to the movie that I was alluding to?
Have we done? Let's do our number 6s first.
Well, that would be my number 6.
This is your number. Okay, what's your number 6?
Yeah. So here's the thing. There is momentum. Momentum is always the key thing. I am going to do it because I remember laughing off Everything Everywhere All at Once and laughing off Amy Madigan because they didn't look like Academy fare. But you know what? If they capture the industry and they capture the interest and they really speak to the moment in a way as far as like what is being done with films, now, I feel like you can't ignore it right now. Will it last? I don't know. But I have to, if we're making predictions in June, this is where the industry is right now. And that is why I have Obsession on my list. I think you can't deny it is starting conversations across this industry. The fact that Steven Spielberg watches it, and then it gets mentioned in an interview with Sam Levinson about the end of Euphoria with Bill Maher, like the range of this movie as representing, again, with Backrooms, this very exciting moment for horror, but also the story of 750,000 to 300 million. I don't think it is that ridiculous to think that this goes on a Get Out trajectory or a Substance trajectory. Substance was also a movie where the subject matter was
Those
wild.
had very clear social messaging and themes. This does not.
I would disagree with you.
I think any sort of messaging and themes that is being forelayed onto this film is people giving the film too much credit. The people who made this film did not intend a majority of the messaging that people
disagree. I think this is a movie.
And it's not as succinct.
I think it does exist more in subtext than a lot of those other movies. Those other movies very clearly wear themselves as far as what they're trying to attack in their themes very clearly, and that could be what maybe shrugs Obsession off. I personally feel that what Obsession is Psycho without the 5-minute scene at the end where they diagnose Norman to explain to the audience what's going on. I think if you watch that movie, and it's also a movie I think probably unlike a lot of these movies, is probably going to be rewatched a lot. It's probably one of the more
already has
movies.
Been.
Exactly. That only helps. And the more I watch it, the more I just find it fascinating. It is disturbing. That could turn people off, but it could also turn people on. And I think you're going to see it pop up among the critics. I think critics are going to lean into this movie. I think the independent groups are going to lean into this movie. Sure. It has it has probably one of, if not inevitably, the best stories of the year as far as how it got made. It's speaking to the moment when it comes to the male loneliness epidemic. That I do think is front and center, and that is something they can run on.
But do people want to vote for that compared to other stuff?
They don't have to vote for it to win, but among 10, I do think
even to get nominated.
I do. Well, the question I also have for you is, do you honestly see another movie later this year being as exciting as we've seen? Whether you like the movie or not, it is definitely generating an excitement of getting
excitement
to the
and box office doesn't guarantee you. Like, there will be a ton of excitement in box office for Doomsday. That alone does not guarantee you.
People expected that. This is increasing its
There's
box
a ton of
office
excitement in box office for Backrooms. There's no one talking about that getting into Best Picture.
None of these movies have done something for the first time in 40 years like this did, which it in almost 50.
It's still only a box office achievement.
Unique. It's
unique, but it's solely box office. And if we're talking box office and the audience for this film, 75% of it is in the 18 to 25 range. You know, the average age of an Academy member, they're in their 60s.
Yes,
it's totally different audiences of people.
Look at the trajectory. Everything Everywhere All at Once, I would not argue. I don't think you would argue that Everything Everywhere All at Once started young. The young people went crazy, and then the older people checked in. It's also
a movie about family. Has a heartwarming. It's emotional. It's heartwarming.
It's dark.
None of that applies to Obsession, which is a horror film.
I will grant you, but again, I think at this time we also would have said The Substance, whether people had seen it at this point or read. But when The Substance came on, we were like, "This is crazy. This would be so not up their alley. It's horror with a capital H."
It's still about the industry. Debuted at Cannes, French, international. Had people who people recognize. There's no one in this who people in the industry know or will recognize. Who get like Everything Everywhere at Once had Jamie Lee Curtis, Michelle Yeoh, pushing the film. That is huge in getting in at the Oscars. This has
I grant you, but I also think there is a passion that this movie will have, and it's a passion and also they will get to know them. I mean, Indy Navarrete has already been on Jimmy Kimmel, and she had such a charming interview. And I think people I just think there's going to be a sentiment, I feel, similar to the Parasite year, where anytime Curry Barker's in a room with other filmmakers, you're going to see the Spielbergs. They want to go up and talk to this guy. How did he do this? You know, they're going to want to go up to Indy Navarrete, and I believe his name is Michael Johnston. See, they have a campaign to run. You know, they have to introduce these people, but that also is exciting. We have a bunch of new filmmakers, and I just don't think there's going to be any story that matches this. And as far as your box office point, those movies, Backrooms, Doomsday, those are movies that are making a lot of money on opening weekend. The story of this movie is that it continued to grow on word of mouth, and that word of mouth grew because the movie is that strong. I just would not ignore it, and I just think Okay,
We just
British
talked about
Showman.
it. All
British
I'm saying
Showman
is
has a
box
Rotten
office
Tomatoes
alone.
score in the mid-40s. This has
I
a
know.
94%. This is critically
Box
acclaimed.
office alone,
Box
though,
office
isn't
juggernaut.
enough.
But it's not box office alone. It has a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. This is a critical darling, and it is a box office behemoth. It is a word-of-mouth star. There is nothing wrong with this movie as far as how it's performed so far. The only thing that's holding it back is, I think, just the subject matter and just
Yes.
the darkness of the story. But also, that has not stopped other movies. And in a field of 10, I do think it can get the passion that it needs to go along. I see this getting picture, screenplay, and one of the actors could be in contention. Again, I'm very curious to see how people.
That's the only person. And I do
mean,
think that is quite plausible. Lead actress, which is apparently where she's. No, people who are like, if this gets into Best Picture, it gets 3 nominations. This gets picture, actress / supporting actress. I think she's going.
I mean, I wouldn't put it out. Or sound design. I mean, it could like there are places. Why not?
Substance didn't get sound design, and that's sound design is much better. This isn't going to go that.
You clearly also don't love the movie as much as I do.
That's a factor. Yes.
And the substance. So there are ways to lean into. I think that this will be the movie that I think a lot of people are going to be really interested in leaning into in a way that I don't think The Odyssey, Dune, we expect these movies to do well. Digger, even to a degree. This has a level of surprise that I think will make it exciting to follow. And I think that's what could make it rise on the list. Could it miss? 110%. But I think right now, I think it is I just think there is more passion behind it than other movies that have opened, like Project Hail Mary. Like if you're asking me to pick between the two, this movie definitely has more interest.
And the passion is amongst people who aren't within the Academy. The passion is amongst our generation.
Listen, you pulled out your source.
Just because Steven Spielberg said he liked it, Steven Spielberg watches all of the movies.
I have a mentor, I have a friend who's in the Writers Guild. I've been very grateful. Who's brought me to many screenings over the years. He brought it up of his own volition, what I thought of Obsession. And I'm like, and I respect the man, if this man who's in his like 70s or 80s is intrigued and saw Obsession and Backrooms, then I think this is going beyond the regular horror fare. I think this right now, Obsession is performing better than Weapons. And we thought Weapons was on the precipice of Best Picture. It got what? Didn't it get the PGA nom? Like So then there's no world that it's too crazy. If Obsession is performing better than Weapons, then I think Obsession then should now be in contention to be on this list.
Weapons had Hollywood. My last question for you is what is the last non-international film with no Hollywood names involved above the line or below the line in general that got into Best Picture?
When's the last time that we saw a movie with $750,000 with $300 million? But that's part of the story. You can't deny.
Well, Blair Witch was the last time that happened. It's not like it hasn't happened before. Yes, but it's a major achievement. But that's once again that's box office. I'm asking about within the industry having not a single person of like weight and significance behind your film. That doesn't really happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think the movie that frankly you could maybe compare it to the most, not in terms of genre, was Fruitvale Station. As far as this is a completely new group of people, and it was getting a lot of festival cred. And in a year of 10, which that wasn't, I believe. I think that's when they started getting wishy-washy.
I don't think so.
Fruitvale could have, but it didn't get really a lot of other nominations. But there was talk. That would probably be the comparison. But again, Fruitvale didn't perform. It's not like I just find it fascinating.
Clearer social message.
Well, again, I think there is a message there. It exists in subtext, but I do think like it's funny. I had this weekend. I met with my mentor on Zoom. And he was talking about Obsession. I went to a party at an old theater company I worked at, and the high schoolers there could not stop talking about it. And I just think when you have that range, and it is a industry success story that everybody wants to lean into, I think this is as much as a success story for the industry that people want to celebrate as Top Gun Maverick was, frankly. They want to see movies like this doing well. And I don't see anybody who, even if they don't like the movie, they don't respect what it accomplished. And to me, that gets it on the list.
Yes. I made a whole video on why I don't think it will be a major contender. So for any further points, go watch that video. But that's Anthony's argument for why he does have it in.
Wicked has gone. It is in the rearview mirror. And yet again, we have found ourselves in a populist, independent split. And God is going to take us till the end of January. God, we are.
Speaking of which,
we know our brands.
Number 6, my number 6, not quite, probably going to be the same box office level. I have Wild Horse 9. By Martin McDonagh, John Malkovich, Sam Rockwell. Test screened, has been gotten good raves thus far. Not a lot of people saying it's his best work, and that's why I'm kind of like, because Martin McDonagh could kind of be like another one of those PTA Baker Nolan kind of things where it's your Oscar moment this year, especially with Searchlight behind it. Even though he does technically have an Oscar already for a short film, but not really.
Nobody knows that.
Nobody knows that. Yeah. So that could happen, especially if it does come out and it does get some career best kind of reviews. That's just not the vibe I'm getting at this point. But I also think a lot of the best picture films recently also win supporting actor for some reason. That acting category is the one that really lines up with best picture more than any other one. And I think the smart move, in my opinion, would be you push John Malkovich to supporting, and that's an easy win.
Yeah, for a second I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, because I don't think he beats Tom Cruise, but I don't think anyone in supporting. I mean, right now I have Robert Pattinson winning supporting for The Odyssey.
Really?
So yeah, I do. Because who the hell else would it be? John Goodman is lucky to get nominated. Is what I would say.
Just saying, Robert Pattinson, that would be wild.
Well, he's having a great year. Based off the trailer, it looks like it's a juicy villain kind of role. I mean, you just made the Matt Damon, Cillian Murphy, Odyssey, Oppenheimer comparison. He could be the Robert Downey Jr. of the film.
He seems to. I wonder if somebody could do this. I feel like supporting actor doesn't go young. I feel like with both.
I mean, Daniel Kaluuya was probably the last younger winner.
Yeah,
I would say.
I don't know.
I mean, he's not young. He's in his 40s.
Yeah, but he's still perceived as young. He's not.
He still looks quite young. But you could say the same thing about Michael B. Jordan too.
Well, again, that was a very unique season.
Or if Odyssey is winning Best Picture, I mean, who knows?
Yeah. Who do you have winning supporting actress?
Actress, I have, speaking of Wild Horse 9, Mariana Di Girolamo for Wild Horse 9 winning supporting actress, because I've heard she's quite good in the film, and I don't know who else I would pick, honestly.
I mean, I want to see The Odyssey, because I think given the year she's having and how much people love her, and it's clear, I think Anne Hathaway could pull it off. And I think Anne Hathaway feels like the type of, kind of like Renee Zellweger, where like she won her Oscar, she was a little bit controversial, she disappeared, and then she comes back and she wins. I was going to keep the running gag of putting the numbered titles in their numbered spots, but Wild Horse 9 is number 8 for me.
Okay.
Just because with Behemoth, Searchlight could end up having a different number one contender, so it kind of wants me to put both of those movies lower down the list because I don't know which one is going to rise. And Martin McDonagh, he is as his last two pictures did very well, but it's not like
I would say they were both second place. His last two films, compared
to other movies in contention, could be a little bit lighter. And I also wonder if Digger will drink its milkshake, because they seem similar from the outside as far as like tone.
I don't think anything will be similar to Digger. I think Digger
maybe you're right.
Own unique thing. Spots we, I guess I have my number 8 left, and then my number 10.
I have my number 7 and my number 9.
Okay, so what's your number 7?
I have No One Cares. I think Jesse Eisenberg has
number 10.
Cool. Yeah, I think Jesse Eisenberg has been rising.
It's also called The Debut now, by the way. They debuted the poster, and they changed. It's had 3 different names at this point. It's now called The Debut.
Right. Well, I think Jesse Eisenberg has been rising as a filmmaker. I loved A Real Pain. It was one of my top 3 of that year. And I think it was on the outside looking in. It was very close to getting into Best Pictures that year. Won an above the line Oscar for Kieran Culkin for supporting actor. And I think people really like, he is one of these actor turned directors, kind of like Robert Redford. I think he exists in that tradition where I think people are respecting him as a director. And I think at this point, seeing him more as a director than an actor. I also think what could help him as far as the politics is that I'm curious if this is one of the movies we haven't mentioned. I don't have Social Reckoning on my list. And
that trailer made me take it off. That looked bad.
I mean, I didn't think it looked bad, but I did think it didn't look. It looked like it looked like those HBO, movies.
Well, yeah, Aaron Sorkin doesn't know how to direct a film and make it look visually good.
I don't think there's going to be a lot of support for him. It's a A24 film. I believe they're going to be their number 1 push.
That's the main reason I have it in there. A24 will get a film in the Best Picture, and right now, I mean, they did just acquire Club Kid out of Cannes for a lot of money, but that doesn't scream Best Picture to me. That screams like maybe sole screenplay nomination, and this seems like their main push, I guess.
It's a comedy musical that appeals.
It's actually a musical,
but it has
I've
music
heard it compared to movies like If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You and Beau is Afraid. So I think it's a little different. I think it won't be maybe quite what people expect.
If you have Bernadette Peters and Halle Bailey in your cast, It has
Near
music.
Dream.
There's
Yeah.
music elements.
Oh
It's
yes,
gonna
there's. I
appeal to
mean,
me.
there's a play in it, I believe. I think there might be some
Yeah.
original songs as well. This is another one that has test screened. A lot of the movies this year have test screened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have this in mostly because of A24. Also, I can easily see nominations for Moore and Giamatti. That's another person who maybe could win in supporting actor. It's a juicy kind of role. He's the theater
That's it.
director.
There you
He's
go.
critiquing her and all that. Julian Moore is having a bit of a personal breakdown. It seems based off what I know. The comparison to My Legs That Kick You alone will tell you that was the best performance of last year. So that's a high bar. But yeah, A24, Jesse Eisenberg doing good. It just kind of makes sense to me at this point.
What I'm happy to see is Karen Buono, who is Mrs. Wheeler in Stranger Things, kind of get a role outside that show.
I think this will do well enough, get good enough reviews. I'm sure it will hit the fall film festivals for sure. So I have enough faith in it getting multiple acting nominations, screenplay. That's probably about it. It's the kind of movie that is really just above the line kind of contender, and that's all it needs to be. And it seems like A24's main push. Once again, we're saying all of this the day before the trailer comes out. The trailer comes out tomorrow, and you guys have all seen it. And by the time this video comes out, and it looks atrocious, and at that point, I would probably throw something. I mean, I guess we'll get into honorable mentions in a second. Throw something else in there, but I have a feeling the trailer will be good tomorrow. So yeah, that was your number 7. My number 8 is a movie I'm holding on to. I'm not going to give up on it. Sense and Sensibility is my number 8. You have Obsession as your main focus features push this year. I think Sense and Sensibility, in my opinion at least, makes much more sense as an awards kind of film. I see people writing this film off in a way that kind of reminded me, in the way that people were in this space at this time last year, really writing off Hamnet. It's a similar kind of film. This is a type of film, this period drama kind of film, that is just total catnip for a certain segment of the Academy. There's always, almost every year, one of these kind of films that get in there. People who think that this will be compared unfavorably to the Emma Thompson version, I just don't think that will hurt it. I mean, it could not be as good, but it could still be strong enough to get in. I mean, it didn't hurt West Side Story or All Quiet. I think remakes of films. And this isn't even a remake.
Distance between
it is. It's a bit of a distance, but you know, I think films can get in multiple times. Stories can be retold, especially. This is Georgia Oakley, who did Blue Jean, which was a very good independent film. This is a big level up for her. It's got a great cast of up-and-comers with Daisy Edgar-Jones. I forget her name. I believe Esme Creed Miles is also in a pretty juicy role. You've got Fiona Shaw, George McKay. It's a lot of good people. This is another one that has test screened recently. And all I will say is I have it in Best Picture. And it has test screened. And also, it's a female-directed film. And we're gonna have one of those in Best Picture. I feel like we might not get a woman nominated in Best Director. I don't think that will happen, but I think we'll have a female-directed film in the 10. It's what I would say. I don't think it's gonna be all dudes directing.
Let's hope. Yeah, I mean, I think the comp for this is Little Women, and I think Little Women also prove that previous entries don't necessarily dispel you if you got the goods. Yeah, I was toying with that just because I also think it's the type of movie that if it's okay, then it's going to be very easy to toss aside. I don't have the inside scoop from the test screening that you had.
It was positive. That's all I'll say. It was positive.
Yeah,
I don't. People should not expect this. Like people last year thought Hamnet was going to be a bad movie, and once again, I didn't.
I don't know
because I had heard about it from test screenings.
Was that just
because there were also people who saw that at test screening who were like, "Oh, the movie's bad." But I think you have to actually know the person who you're talking to about the test screenings and their taste to actually read into it. And I've heard good things about this.
Yeah, because here's where I'm struggling. I was considering Fatherland off of the strength of Cold War, Paweł Pawlikowski getting in for Best Director in a very competitive year. But it's 82 minutes. It's so slight.
It's also
and that's not to say
3 recent films.
Yes, I mean there might be a general opinion among people who really love his work, which of course I feel like you always need to get your home base on your side and then you grow.
Yes.
And that's not to say that short movies can't pack a punch. I mean, we both saw Leviticus. Watch Jack's review; it's brilliant. I echo a lot of the sentiments.
Should be in Best Picture, not Obsession. God damn it!
Well, I love that you managed to find one, even in years where the big movies are probably going to be ones you like. You still
My
managed
issue
to find.
is the people painting all of these like message, like Curry Barker is such a genius, all of these like hidden messaging and like all this social themes to it. People are giving that film way too much credit is my
Listen,
main problem. I think it's a fine film. To get into Best Picture is kind of crazy to me.
Listen, my number one of the year's obsession, my number two is Leviticus. I think that I am of the belief that once you release a movie, it is not yours anymore as the filmmaker. You release it for people to do what you want. That's why your craft has to be strong, because if people take that movie or anything and do something crazy with it, guess what? Then you weren't a strong enough filmmaker. And so to me, I feel like if people are connecting with it and wanting to find those layers, then he did something.
We have one spot left for you?
I have one spot left. I was toying with Fatherland, Disclosure Day, goodbye. And Social Reckoning, probably goodbye too. I still think that the subject matter could will it in here in a similar way to Don't Look Up, as far as like
Sorkin's films have done well.
And The Trial did well. I mean, it's
nomination-wise 3 acting nominations. Insane.
Yeah. And I think the problem is that it invites unfavorable comparisons to one of the best.
There's more expectations with this.
But it's a very different movie from The Word Go, and I think that is the benefit of not having Jesse Eisenberg. But it is using the music. It kind of feels like House of the Dragon in a way. That's probably the weirdest.
Yeah.
But like using the music, it kind of feels similar, but it's different people. But I also think it's obviously very topical, and depending on where we are, this could be a movie that people want to lean into. It could also do well at the box office compared to some of these others, which could help it.
Is that your pick?
Well,
you must choose.
Because you do make a great argument about Sense and Sensibility, and I do think we're missing a movie that really appeals to women. We don't have that, and so
on your list yet, at least. How much do we have in common?
Well,
maybe you should pick something else.
We disagree on Obsession and Project Hail Mary. That's our one.
That's it. Okay.
Flop. All right, I'm going to go right now with Social Reckoning, but okay. I'm going to change. Instead of the Tom Ford movie being my alternate for Behemoth, if it gets pushed, I'll put Sense and Sensibility. I think you make a great argument about it. But I think right now, I know film Twitter doesn't like Aaron Sorkin, but clearly the Academy does.
The industry loves him. Yeah.
I mean, all of his movies got Oscar nominations. Molly's Game got him a screenplay nomination. Trial was talk about the number 2. That was the number 2 that year. And Being the Artist got overperformed. So like, there's no world where the sequel to one of the best movies, pseudo sequel, so one of the best movies of the 21st century from the original writer with a great Oscar pedigree cast, talking about a very topical issue that is more topical today than when the movie is set. I mean, all of that to me, and if it does well at the box office, and it's Sony's major push, right? They don't have anything else, No,
not Sony. I'm sure Sony Pictures Classics has something, but Sony General.
Sony Pictures releasing. Yeah, so I think I'm going to put that ahead just because I think it'll be more exciting. And I think that's right now. That's how I gauge these. What are the movies that I think people are really going to want to get out, bang the drum?
All of a Sudden, I think did well at Cannes. I just think with the reviews for that, I think they need to be a bit stronger for enough people to sit down and watch a 3-hour and 20-minute film. That's slow paced and has like a 20-minute scene talking about like capitalism, I believe. So I think that will do well with critics. I don't think that will be strong enough to break into Best Picture. We already mentioned Club Kid. That's plausible to be an A24 push, but once again, that's a very limited package. That would really just be picture and screenplay, I think. I don't know what else it would get. Cry to Heaven, I don't think is this year. Disclosure Day, we talked about. Some films we know nearly nothing about that I could maybe see potentially becoming something. Misty Green, directed by Chris Rock with Daniel Kaluuya. I forget the lead actress's name. Adam Driver's in it as well. Interesting premise. I do think we have a very white contending group of films this year. I do think some diversity is going to be needed. And I think that's a film that could maybe fulfill that. Also, if the debut doesn't become something, then this could be A24's push. I'm keeping an eye on that one. Same with The Invite, which was releasing later this week. That's another A24 film that I think could get screenplay, maybe a supporting actress or actor. I think Penelope Cruz is probably your best bet, but then you run into the problem where she's probably has a better chance for the Black Ball than this film. But I think that could maybe sneak into Best Picture. What else?
I just rewatched Booksmart 2. I'm ready for for
Olivia
Wilde to
Wilde
get her
come
groove
back.
back.
She's in Behemoth.
I
Yeah.
think there's one movie we kind of have to talk about, just because of how it
What?
performed, and I, I, I don't see a world where this is not in contention for Best Actor throughout the season. I'm not saying I'm predicting him to be one of the five, but I think people will talk about it, and because of how well performed, and because it has the history of Bohemian Rhapsody behind it, is Michael
Oh.
at all in this
Best
conversation?
Picture? No. That film is dead. That film is in the red on Metacritic. That film is not touching awards.
I
It'll touch,
agree,
like,
but I think
Golden Globes, maybe.
that's my thing. If it hits Golden Globe, and I don't see a world where there is a world, a crazy world, but we live in that crazy world every day now. It gets a Golden Globe nomination, and then it gets a PGA nom, and then at that point,
But the only Golden Globe nom it will get is Jafar. It won't get picture at Globes.
We said, listen, and yes, the critic is worse. And listen, I haven't seen the movie, so take this
It's
for what
terrible.
it's worth.
Bohemian Rhapsody is a masterpiece compared to Michael.
I'm just saying,
bad movie.
it's one of the biggest hits of the year. And if especially if Jafar Jackson becomes potentially win competitive, then I do think there is a world where it sneaks in, because that could be your F1, shocking as it may be. I think it's just worth mentioning. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning, I guess.
It's been too successful at this point for it to just be completely ignored. I mean, even Coleman Domingo could surprise.
The money is. I don't think so. I think the money is the win for Michael.
Because you did just mention we're looking for diversity. That is the biggest
that
thing
fulfills
here.
it, but that's a terrible movie. So I don't know.
Again, I haven't seen it. I don't intend to see it, but it is the big movie that we haven't talked about.
It is worth mentioning. Other ones, A Place in Hell from Chloe Dumont, Michelle Williams. A lot of people yeah, exactly. Oh God, that's wow. You went there.
Sorry.
Not starring Michael Jackson. It stars Michelle Williams, who is going to be in contention. Lots of people think she's going to be the winner for Best Actress. I think right now her role and Cynthia Erivo's roles are very similar. And if you read both of the synopsis of both of their films, Michelle Williams' character is a unlikable person, a little ladder climber, kind of a Lydia Tarr kind of character, and Cynthia Erivo's character is not. So I think sympathy, especially unfortunately when it comes to actress contenders, I think being likable is a huge factor, and I think that will go against Michelle Williams. But we'll see. Neon is releasing that in December. Bunker, we know nearly nothing about. That's another one that I think will have a fall festival debut, directed by Florian Zeller. He missed majorly with The Son, but he did incredible with The Father. So I think this could be good. Great cast. Penelope Cruz once again.
Finish the trilogy. Make the Holy Ghost.
He went to The Bunker instead. But yeah, Penelope Cruz, Javier Bardem, Paul Dano. I think that I'm keeping an eye on that one. I think a lot of people are writing it off because of The Son, but I think that could really be something. Josephine did well at Sundance, got good reviews, got picked up by like a nothing distributor, but it could end up. That's another female directed film if you're looking for one. Same with Being Human from Sean Hayter. It's about a disability rights activist. This one test screened. People who saw it who liked Coda didn't like it as much as Coda. I don't know. Who knows? If Apple truly
is it the same audience as Coda?
It's a crowd pleaser kind of movie, yeah. Maybe. I think it's a maybe for me. If Apple actually wants this to be an awards, when Apple wants your movie to be an awards thing and they actually put the effort into it, they actually are pretty good. So if they put the effort in, maybe. And that's really all I'm going to mention at this point. There are other films, but cool. So what are your guys' top 10? Comment down below. How have they changed since Cannes? All that stuff. What's your quartet predicted acting winners? And yeah, stay tuned for more. We'll have an Emmy video hopefully within like the next week or two, and then the nominations and all that. So you'll want to be subscribed for all that stuff, like all that, and we'll see you in the next one.